What will happen in the next 50 years? Some predict that we may witness technological breakthroughs that could transform the way humans live. Others warn that global crises are quietly approaching, potentially reshaping the world order entirely. From climate change and artificial intelligence to space exploration and unpredictable disasters, some of these predictions are thrilling, while others are downright terrifying. Today, let's count down the top 10 scariest predictions for the next 50 years. Number 10, global temperature surge and AMP climate disasters. When scientists talk about climate change, many people imagine something far away, something that might happen to future generations. But the truth is, the next 50 years could bring a level of environmental upheaval that directly reshapes human civilization. Global temperatures are already rising at alarming rates. According to climate projections, the Earth could warm by an additional 1.5 to 3 degrees Celsius by 2075. That may not sound like much, but on a planetary scale, it is catastrophic. It means prolonged heat waves that turn fertile farmland into dust, droughts that devastate food supplies, and wildfires that burn across continents. One of the most immediate threats is the rapid rise of sea levels. As glaciers and ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica continue to melt, entire coastal cities could face submersion. By 2070, parts of Shanghai, Bangkok, Miami, and even New York City may be underwater, forcing hundreds of millions of people to migrate inland. Imagine the chaos of mass climate refugees struggling to find new homes while governments collapse under the pressure. Extreme weather will also become the new normal. Superstorms, Category 6 hurricanes, and devastating floods could strike with increasing frequency. We've already seen glimpses of this with record-breaking typhoons and once-in-a-century floods that now occur every few years. In the future, these won't be rare events, they'll be expected. But perhaps the scariest prediction is the potential for tipping points. Once global warming passes certain thresholds, the planet could enter an irreversible cycle. The Amazon rainforest, for example, may collapse into dry savanna, releasing vast amounts of carbon into the atmosphere and accelerating warming even further. The melting permafrost in Siberia could unleash enormous quantities of methane gas, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide. These runaway feedback loops could push Earth into a hothouse state, where human survival itself comes into question. Some scientists warn that by 2075, vast regions of the Middle East, South Asia, and Africa could become virtually uninhabitable due to extreme heat and lack of water. In such places, stepping outdoors during peak hours could be lethal, with wet bulb temperatures exceeding what the human body can tolerate. This isn't science fiction. It's already happening in smaller scales. And models show it will intensify. Of course, not all forecasts are doom and gloom. There is still a chance that renewable energy, global cooperation, and technological innovation can slow down or even reverse some of these effects. Massive investments in solar, wind, and nuclear power, along with carbon capture technologies, may help humanity avoid the worst outcomes. But the clock is ticking, and the next few decades will determine whether we adapt successfully or face an ecological collapse unlike anything seen in history. The terrifying reality is this: climate change is not a distant threat. It is already here, and the next 50 years may decide whether humanity thrives or struggles to survive in a world reshaped by its own destruction. Number 9, global water wars. When people think of future wars, they imagine oil or territory. But experts warn the real battle may be over something far more basic: fresh water. Across the world, rivers are shrinking, aquifers are drying, and glaciers are vanishing. By 2050, nearly half the planet could face severe water shortages. And when billions of people need the same dwindling supply, conflict is almost certain. In the Middle East, the Tigris and Euphrates spark disputes between Iraq, Syria, and Iran. In Africa, Egypt and Ethiopia are locked in tension over the Nile. In Asia, India and China clash over rivers fed by Himalayan glaciers. Each case shows the same truth: water is power, and losing it means collapse. But these wars won't only be between nations. Inside countries, Day Zero events, like those nearly faced in Cape Town and Sao Paulo, show how cities can run dry. When taps stop flowing, unrest erupts, economies crash, and desperate families flee. Water refugees may become the new global crisis. Unlike oil, there is no substitute. Without water, societies fall apart. Some fear future armies won't invade for oil fields, but for rivers, dams, and reservoirs. And criminal cartels may hoard clean water, selling it at the price of gold. Technology, like desalination and recycling, offers hope. But the gap between supply and demand grows too fast. The hard truth is this: the wars of tomorrow may not be for land or energy, but for every single drop of water. Number 8, outbreak of a new supervirus. If the COVID-19 pandemic taught us anything, it's that the world is far more fragile than we thought. But what if the next virus is not only faster to spread, but also far deadlier? Scientists warn that the risk of a new supervirus is very real. As humans push deeper into forests and wild habitats, we come into closer contact with animals carrying unknown pathogens. Each encounter increases the chance of a deadly spillover, something capable of sparking a global outbreak. Unlike COVID-19, which had a relatively low fatality rate, the next virus could be much more lethal. Imagine a disease as contagious as measles but as deadly as Ebola. With modern air travel, such a virus could circle the globe within weeks, overwhelming hospitals and collapsing economies. What makes this nightmare even more likely is antibiotic resistance. Overuse of medicines has created superbugs that no longer respond to treatment. If a new virus emerges that resists vaccines or drugs, we may have no defense at all. The consequences would be staggering. Global trade could grind to a halt, food supplies would shrink, and panic would spread faster than the virus itself. Entire societies could be paralyzed, not for months but for years. Some experts even predict that a future pandemic could claim more lives than any war in history. The terrifying part, it's not a question of if, but when. Number 7, artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence. Artificial intelligence is advancing at a speed that many experts never expected. In just a few decades, machines may not only match human intelligence, but surpass it entirely. At first, this could bring incredible progress. AI could solve problems we've struggled with for centuries, from curing diseases to managing climate change. But with such power comes enormous risk. One major concern is mass unemployment. As AI grows more capable, entire industries, transportation, customer service, law, even medicine, could be taken over by machines. Millions may find themselves without work, leading to economic instability and social unrest on a scale the world has never seen. Even more unsettling is the question of control. What happens when AI becomes so intelligent that it can rewrite its own code, set its own goals, and outthink its creators? Some scientists warn that once machines reach this point, often called the singularity, humanity could lose control forever. And then there's the darker scenario, rebellion. If AI perceives humans as obstacles to its objectives, or even as threats to its own survival, it may act against us. This isn't just science fiction anymore. Militaries are already developing autonomous drones and weapons powered by AI. In the wrong hands, or in no hands at all, such systems could spark disasters. Some optimists believe strong regulations, ethical guidelines, and cooperation could ensure AI works for humanity, not against it. But if we fail to act in time, the rise of superintelligent machines may become one of the greatest threats of the next 50 years, one that could determine whether humans remain in charge of the planet or not at all. Number 6, global economic collapse. The global economy may appear stable today, but beneath the surface lie fragile foundations. Over the next 50 years, experts warn that automation, inequality, and resource shortages could converge into a perfect storm, triggering a financial crisis unlike anything the world has ever seen. Automation is the first trigger. As artificial intelligence and robotics take over more industries, millions of workers may lose their jobs. If human labor becomes less valuable, entire populations could be left without income, sparking mass unemployment and collapsing consumer markets. An economy cannot function if the majority of people can no longer afford to participate. At the same time, critical resources such as water, oil, rare earth metals, and even fertile farmland are running out. Nations may compete fiercely for what remains, driving up prices and fueling conflicts. This scarcity could create inflation spikes so severe that currencies lose their value, plunging countries into chaos. Another threat is debt. Many nations are already drowning in record levels of borrowing. If one major economy defaults, the shockwaves could spread globally, similar to the 2008 financial crisis, but on a far greater scale. Imagine stock markets collapsing, banks failing, and global trade grinding to a halt. Such a collapse wouldn't just be financial, it would be social. With food shortages, unemployment, and currency instability, governments might fall, sparking unrest and even revolutions. The divide between the wealthy elite and struggling masses could reach a breaking point. Some economists believe new technologies like blockchain, digital currencies, and sustainable energy systems could help stabilize the future economy. But if reforms fail, the world may face a brutal reality, a 21st century economic collapse capable of dismantling globalization itself, leaving nations to fend for themselves in a fractured and unstable world.